What is going on, friends? This is Matt Carter, that YouTube Realtor, and today I'm going to be talking about the best way that you can get into the housing market if you're not already. This also works great if you're an investor looking to get some more properties under your belt, make some more money in the real estate market. So we're going to be going over how exactly house hacking works, how you can get started with it, and why I think it's the best way to get going into the market. And I think a lot of people, if you do a quick search across the internet, they'll agree with me. So starting off, let's just get right into what is exactly house hacking. So house hacking is having somebody else pay off a portion, if not all, of your housing costs so that you can live for, almost and to next to nothing or free within your own house. So primarily how this is achieved is by purchasing a multi-unit building. This can be either a duplex, a triplex, a quadplex. There's some other ways too. You can get things with accessory dwelling units. Just like anything that you can get people living in your house or another unit of your house and collecting rent for them, and then which offsets your housing costs yourself. So house hacking definitely isn't for those who don't want to have any active part of their real estate investment. There's definitely a lot of hands-on work that goes into house hacking. Generally, the best practice is to be doing some renovations to that house, which I'll get into in a little bit. So it's a great way if you are pretty handy. It's a great way to get some sweat equity into that property. But also, if you're not too handy and you're just curious, it's also a great way to start out in down the lines of getting into the handiwork, getting into knowing how to do some house renovations, repairs, things of that nature. So overall, I just think it's a great it's a great option for many people who are both looking to get into be more involved in their house real estate investing, as well as those that are already pretty handy and want to continue doing so. So things you're going to want to look out for if you're looking to get into house hacking, and these are going to be things that you and your realtor are going to be looking for on the market or off-market deals as well. So first and foremost, you're going to be looking for multifamily unit properties. So these are going to be properties that have 2 units, 3 units, 4 units. You start getting a little bit more than that, things start getting pretty pricey. But I mean, if you have the bank for it, if you have some other help with it, it's a great way to get into it as well. But you're going to want to look for multi-units on that property so that you can rent out a portion of it and then live in the other side of it. If you can't find a multi-unit property that is within your budget or suitable for what you're looking for, another good thing to look for is homes with a basement that can be converted to a secondary unit. Now, a lot of the times you're going to want to make sure that the zoning complies with that, specifically whatever area you are in looking in your market. But within London especially, there are some, and it's getting easier even, there's some bylaws that are being passed. You can convert almost every, I don't want to say every, but almost every house, the basement can be converted into it, assuming that you retrofit properly to accommodate for fire codes and building codes, to have a secondary unit that does not occupy more than 40% of the overall square footage of above grade. So definitely a good thing to look for if you're looking for just a single family home is those basements that can be converted into a secondary unit. Another good thing to look for is accessory dwelling units, and these are a little harder to come by, especially in London, maybe a little bit different in the market that you're looking in, but these are going to be buildings that aren't attached to your actual main property. They could be things like guest houses, detached garages. Those can sometimes be used as accessory dwellings, and what we're seeing a lot more of now is these tiny dwellings that are being built on properties as well. Those are a little bit newer, so they're going to be, few and far between to find them, but it could be a good option if you're looking to have another source of income on your property. These may not be exactly you're looking to get full-time tenants in there, but they may be good Airbnb options or other rental options for you if you're looking for additional sources of income. Next up, and if you can't find any of these other ones that I've talked about, those are definitely going to be the priority if you're looking for house hacking. But if you can't do that and you're still willing to, it does take a little bit more compromise in your lifestyle, is just finding a house with a lot of bedrooms in it that you can individually rent out. This works really well if you're a student and maybe you're going to get some help from your parents or some family members to purchase a property. I know I've had a couple friends that going through school, they actually owned the house that they lived in. They rented out the other bedrooms to their friends that they went to school with, charging them, depending on your market, $500-$600 per unit, which ultimately ended up paying for the mortgage of that property, all while they were doing some work to the house to just build the equity overall, ultimately ending up with a great investment property once they were all said and done going to school. And the final thing you're going to want to look for, and it kind of goes along the lines of the bedrooms, is bedrooms or properties that can have bedrooms actually added to them. Sometimes you'll be going through properties and a bedroom maybe was converted into, or there's one large bedroom that could be maybe made into two separate bedrooms, or maybe there's a couple different living spaces and one of those living spaces can be converted to a bedroom as well. Again, you're going to want to make sure that you're complying with all the zoning and bylaw according to your city that you're looking in, but it's definitely a good way to try to add some value if you're going to be charging by the bedroom, or even just that overall unit having some more bedrooms is going to add to the value of it, because you can charge a little bit more than one with lesser bedrooms. So other things to look for, and this is aside from the actual property that you're looking at, is some things you're going to want to take into account when purchasing a property that's for investment purposes. And number one, you're going to want to make sure that it's on a public transportation route. Some people that are renting from you may not have cars, so you're going to want to make sure that they're close to buses or trains or whatever you have in your city, so that they can get to and from work as well as around the city as well. Going with that, you're going to also want to make sure that you're close to a lot of main amenities within the city, whether that's the downtown core, whether that's malls, grocery stores, shopping, anything like that. You're just going to want to make sure that the closer you are to amenities, the more you're going to be able to potentially charge for your unit that you're renting out. Another great one to look for, and particularly in a market like I'm in London, you're going to want to make sure that you're close in proximity to schools, the universities and the college that are in the town. So primarily London is a university town. We have a huge student population in the city. So if you're looking to rent out either by the room or separate units, being close to the university is definitely going to be beneficial in getting those tenants, finding them, and not having too much vacancy on your property. As well as a lot of other people might want to rent from you as well, such as faculty, staff, anything like that work for that school. So the last two things you're going to want to make sure, and this kind of goes back to the property a little bit, is you're going to want to make sure that there's no restrictions prohibiting you from actually renting out a secondary unit or having short-term rentals, anything like that on your property. Some condos and homeowners associations may have this built into their bylaws, so you're going to want to make sure that you avoid those properties altogether. And as well, separate from that, you're going to want to make sure that the zoning and you're complying to all the zoning bylaws for your property. Like I mentioned before, a lot of most properties can have a secondary dwelling, a secondary unit, maybe in the basement, given certain restrictions and fire codes, building codes of that nature. But you're just going to want to make sure that you're checking with not only your real estate agent and the lawyer that you're using to make sure that you're going to be able to comply with everything and be able to do everything that you want to do to that property to maximize your profit out of it. So now that we have the groundwork of what house hacking is, what to look for in the property, the best steps you're going to want to take to finding a home is you're going to want to find one of these properties. I would always suggest getting a multifamily unit, whether it's a duplex, triplex. Getting anything more than that, especially if it's your first time, may be a lot to handle and may be a lot for you to undergo for a first project. So finding a duplex or a triplex is definitely going to be a little more manageable. Ideally, what you're going to want to do is find a building, a property that's going to need some renovations, need some work done to it. You want it to still be livable because you're going to be living in a portion of it, but if the more work it needs, the better, because you're going to be adding that sweat equity, that value to the property over time, doing those renovations. And what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to live in the worst unit of that home. It may be a hit to your lifestyle and what you're used to, but it's definitely going to make you the most money. While you're in that worst unit, you're going to be renovating the highest potential unit in that property as quickly as you can and getting it ready to rent. Once you finish that unit and it's renovated and really nice for everybody to move in, you're going to want to rent it out, see what you can get for that unit, talk to your realtor or a property management company, get them in there and get the most rent you can for that unit. And then what that will do is allow you to start paying off and subsidizing some of your house expenses. Having the first one done may not pay for entirely your entire mortgage out of there, but it's definitely going to supplement it and help you on the road for living for much cheaper than you would if you just purchased a single family home. So once you've renovated that unit with the highest potential, you're going to move on to the next one. If you're in a triplex, that means moving on to the middle one, renovating that as much as possible, and then renting that out as soon as you can. And then finally, you're going to work your way down the line into the unit that you're in and renovate that one. Now, once you're done renovating the entire building and you can't really do anything more, you want to make sure that you're not over renovating as well. So make sure you're talking to your contractors, your real estate agents. Make sure that you're doing the appropriate amount of renovations, not pouring too much money into the project. You want to make it nice and being able to charge the most rent possible, but still being able to get that money out of it in terms of the rent and what you've spent on that property. So once you've renovated that entire house, you have a couple different options. You can either continue to live in the same building and just collecting all the rent from everybody else, subsidizing your housing costs, hopefully paying them off and living for free. That's the ultimate goal. Or you can go to your bank and refinance your property. Now, you can refinance because now your house is going to be worth far more than what you purchased it for, assuming the market's still going in the same direction or relatively same spot, because you've put all this renovations in, and the bank is going to see it's worth a lot more than when you purchased it. So you can get a cash out refinance, take some of that money and go invest it somewhere else if it's a next real estate project, if it's a next rental property, whatever that fact may be. Or you can just turn around and ultimately sell that property for a profit and maybe move on to the next one as well. The options are, really case dependent, what you want to do, what the market's doing, how much that house is now worth. So again, I keep saying it. Remember, you're talking to your agent, you're talking to a lot of people in the space, other investors even, to make sure that you are making the best choice for your particular situation. So ultimately, house hacking is definitely the best way to get into the housing market and build the most equity and investment for your money. It's definitely not for everybody because it does take quite a bit of sweat equity. You're going to be working a lot of hours potentially in it, and if you don't know what you're doing, maybe a little bit longer than somebody else will be doing. But in the end, I do promise that is going to be the best option for you if you're looking to get into the market and make some money on the side. So that's about it. If you have any other questions regarding house hacking or anything else regarding the real estate market, make sure to shoot me a message. You can either leave a comment down below or send me an email or text message. My contact is in the description below. I'd be happy to help you out with whatever you're looking for. So, and also, if you found value to this content, make sure you pass it along to anybody else you think would find value as well. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. It really helps me out with the YouTube algorithm, gets this out to more people like you who are looking to learn more about this topic. And make sure you subscribe so you're notified for all my videos that come up every single week. I talk about different topics like this one, Real Estate 101, buying, selling tips, and everything about the London, Ontario real estate market. So until my next video, take care.